Hello, Freedom Guy 55 here again. I wanted to actually, I picked 10 movies that are Halloween oriented, basically horror films. One of which is not a horror film, but yet all the rest are horror films, but that are critically acclaimed. Films that actually are not only just horror films, but good movies. And movies that were actually accepted by the critics, not only not the critics that were that you pay off and then they'll just like it. Actual critics that just say, "I didn't like that, and that was good." People like the rest of us. But anyway, so I picked them basically because they, to my perspective, were also good movies. As being part of, in some ways, a stepping stone in film, let's just say. And you don't really imagine it with horror films, because horror films you wind up thinking, it's all the gore and stuff like that. But yet, some actually have made good impressions on moviegoers and such. So, I'm going to give you them right now. At least the 10 that I've chosen. Now, these are not the only ones that are critically acclaimed, but yet there are ones that I've chosen for pretty much the year, and that I think other people must see. Okay? Well, let's get started. First on my list, Scream. Ooh. Yeah. Scream is a good film because it actually gave a different kind of look on horror films. It kind of flipped it on its head. Kind of a movie that just spends its time kind of making fun of its own, making fun of its own self. Horror films that make fun of its own self. Basically, it's about a guy that's seen too many horror films and pretty much is acting out his own kind of horror film by stalking teenagers and becoming the villain. It is a very good movie, and it is well acted. It's directed by, of course, Wes Craven, who directed, of course, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and various other horror films. And he actually just recently directed a film, I believe, called Soul to Take. And he's going to direct the new Saw 4, or not Saw 4. I'm stupid. The new Scream film, Scream 4. So, let's see how that works. Anyway, I do recommend it, and you should see it. Next one, Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, this was considered one of the first horror films to actually make Best Picture. So it's really kind of a monumental thing in films, and I think that many people should actually go and see this. It's got one of the best fake serial killers ever made in Hollywood, Hannibal Lecter. Fuck Saw, okay? Hannibal Lecter is, of course, the cannibal serial killer that is actually helping the FBI, and one representative of the FBI, which is Jodie Foster. And he helps her out to try to find this serial killer called Buffalo Bill, who's pretty much taking women's skin, and they don't know what he's using it for. Well, anyway, it's actually really extremely well acted, and pretty much all the elements seem to really have a tendency to come together. You don't know what's going to happen near the end, and you're really waiting to see what's going to happen. Anyway, I do recommend this movie. Anyway, Silence of the Lambs. Go and watch it. Next one on the list is Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow is directed by Tim Burton, of course, and I believe that this is his first horror film. It's an interesting take on the Ichabod Crane story and the Headless Horseman, where it turns it into a murder mystery. And it's got, of course, Christina Ricci, Miranda Richardson. Christina Ricci, who's actually blonde in this film, but she looks hot anyway. Okay, she's attractive, whatever. But anyway, and also it's got Johnny Depp in it. And a few other recognizable faces. And the Headless Horseman is actually played by Christopher Walken. So, you know, he's playing a normal role for himself. Next one on the list is Shaun of the Dead. One of the best horror movie comedies ever. Ever. Okay? I mean, the one thing is that this is the first time I was introduced to Simon Pegg. Not introduced as really. No, introduced into movies for Simon Pegg. And it is probably one of the most hilarious horror comedies, and it doesn't even shy away from the kind of zombie element where this kind of parody-ish kind of movie came from, which is, of course, Night of the Living Dead. And I think that if you ever really see a film or whatnot, you should see this. It's got Simon Pegg and, of course, Nick Frost, which are the comedy duo. They're coming out with another film. I can't remember what it's called, but both of them are in it, and they're like comic book geeks who wind up finding an alien or something near Area 51. Anyway, this is also directed by I can't remember his name. Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright is also the director of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So I do recommend this movie. You should see it for Halloween. See it, okay? All right. Next movie on the list is The Lost Boys. This is one of the best vampire films to ever come out of the 80s. See, because the one thing is that it takes this kind of gothic element of vampires and it applies it to a kind of new generation, which is kind of the punk biker generation of that time, and it works extremely well. And the elements in this movie, the drama hits where the drama needs to, the comic relief hits where the comedy needs, and the violence is really well selected. I do like this. I do like this film on that particular kind of basis. It's directed by Joel Schumacher. Joel Schumacher directed, of course, the shitty but yet visually stunning Batman films as well. But he is also very good, I should say, at drama. He's directed also, of course, 8mm, Falling Down with Michael Douglas, and he's also directed Flatliners. So there is this kind of good thing in it. Anyway, it's got Kiefer Sutherland in it, so you know you're getting a good movie out of that. As well as Jason Patric and Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. You know, a really good one. And it's also actually got, it's kind of funny. It's got Alex, if I get it right. His name's Alex. Bill, mainly. Bill from Bill and Ted. Yeah, it's got him in it. He's one of the vampires. So, go out, rent it. Watch this movie. It's good. It's a good vampire film. Go. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to mention go and get it, alright? Every single time I finish, so you remember that. Anyway, next one is Psycho. This is one of the first slasher films ever made. I have ever seen. I've ever known to ever be. I mean, I don't think that there's ever been a slasher film before Psycho. But of course, it's directed by the legendary Alfred Hitchcock. And it pretty much scared the shit out of people to ever want to go and shower. But it's got the traditional guy dressed up in, you know, some sort of garb, or a person dressed, person, you know, in the shadows with a knife, whatever you would say. And it's got Anthony Hopkins, of course, and Janet Leigh, which I believe is the mother to Jamie Lee Curtis, who made her debut in Halloween. But anyway, as far as anything else, I do recommend this film to see one of the, I think, one of the granddaddies of the slasher films. Okay, this one is not a horror film, but it is a good film, and it's needing to be seen, and it needs to be seen on Halloween. And that is Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. It is well done within the stop-motion animation as well as the songs. The songs are beautiful in this film. I just love them. Anyway, it's about Jack the Pumpkin King, who runs kind of Halloween town or land or whatever. And he winds up getting bored, and he walks and he trails off, but he winds up actually finding himself in a new place called Christmas Town, which has Santa Claus in it. And then he hijacks the holiday to do it for himself, and disaster happens. So he has to put things right. It's actually a good film, and I do recommend it, and you should see it every Halloween. Got it? Alright, next film. Frailty. Bing, 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 bing. Frailty is, of course, about this religious nut who gets communications from God that is told to actually go and kill certain people that are demons. And he's given a weapon, which is, of course, an axe, and he's given a rod to knock him out. And the thing is that this is actually a really good film because this kind of ordeal breaks up the family because one of the children winds up to become a skeptic and tries to stop it from happening. So there is this actually really good element of drama, and plus, it's a religious person being a serial killer. I gotta love that. Anyway. Next film. The Devil's Rejects. You better watch this film. This film is probably one of the best Rob Zombie films I have ever seen in my life. It works on so many levels because the one thing is that what's so interesting about it is that it's a rare sequel that's better than the original. Because the original was so overly acted by all the actors. But the one thing is, the main actors that they wind up using, especially Bill Moseley, a guy that actually started by being a hillbilly in the movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, is actually got one of the most creepiest performances, as well as one of the most tame and best performances he's ever done in film. And you should see it. It is a creepy film. It is horrific. It is very horrific and disgusting, but it does work as a good film. It's one of Rob Zombie's best. Devil's Rejects. Watch it. All right. This is one of what I would call the scariest films I have ever seen. Last House on the Left. It's another Wes Craven film, but the one thing is that this is a kind of counteraction to the movie Exorcist. Because I say fuck Exorcist. This is more scary because when your own children are actually capable of being killed by some sort of deviant, that is scary to me. Much more scary than being possessed by some fucking devil. Well, anyway, that's all the movies, and I recommend them, and you should watch them. And I thank you for your time, and have a nice day.